important strategic task of Kazakhstan is the entrance into the 30 of the developed countries of the world, and today it is impossible without accelerated technological development. The government notes that due to the joint efforts of the state and business, Kazakhstan needs 10 years to build a digital sector as a new sector of the economy. This work includes 4 areas such as digitalization of basic sectors of the economy, development of a mobile state, formation of a creative society, and invention of a new infrastructure necessary for this. It is difficult to stay away from the global transformation, being in a region where these changes are the most active.
Много сейчас на Западе говорят про Asian Century, о том, что...
There is much talk in the West about the Asian century, about the fact that the world is changing because many innovations and new ideas come from Asia. And we observe an economic growth there. And being in Kazakhstan, it seems to me this trend is felt, probably more than in the Netherlands.
We see, of course, America heading forward within innovation. You mentioned Silicon Valley. They are developing the technology quite frequently. But other countries make use of this technology, like the Netherlands or the Scandinavian countries. I don't know who. I also know that Asia is doing a lot of development at the moment. Probably, so if you ask who is far behind, it's really difficult to say to me, because I'm not an expert for every country. I think you just need to focus on education. You need to give room for thoughts, for ideas to young people. They don't have. If they are too much bothered to earn their wages, they cannot be innovative. So you have to give them the chance to be innovative.
Singapore is standing out among the leaders of the Asian region in the formation of digital environment and business community. Representatives of the country note sufficient intellectual power for formation of their own projects and a creative look at doing business in a digital environment.
Mainly in Singapore, the government tried to improve the technologies. So we create a few research institutions and fund the university for research. But the problem of Singapore is that Singapore is too small. So commercialization of Singapore technology is difficult. That's why, Singapore, we are positioning ourselves as a trial pace for those technologies, and hopefully through Singapore those technology can extend to other parts of Asia.
Germany and the Netherlands are actively developing in the European region. At the same time, experts know that there are no strong differences in the principles of introducing digitalization in different parts of the world. Globalization has already affected most of the world, and what is successfully implemented in one region is usually familiar and used in another. However, the slow development of digitalization in some countries may be due to economic laws. Being a country where there are many resources, there is such a phenomenon as resource curse, which is also called Dutch disease, if you have oil or other natural resources. By economic laws in general, this hinders the development of the rest of it. And in Kazakhstan, it is clear that despite this resource curse, there is a correct vision and a correct direction. Kazakh model became successful due to focusing on those sectors where the country was strong before. The mining industry enterprises were the first to be ready to digitize the industry. They're also on the forefront of the introduction of Industry 4.0 principles today.
At the moment, all mining industries and all mining professionals are focusing on how to use robotics and big data in the future so that we can mine safely by removing people out of the mine. And that means that we are aiming at what we call zero harm. And the only way to achieve that is through the use of robots.
Another leader in the implementation of digital solutions is the banking sector. Without the constant use of innovations, financial institutions cannot survive, as world practice has shown. And digital technologies have completely changed all usual ideas about banks.
What I see in Kazakhstan is that you will have many benefits as your network, especially the digital network, is quite brand new. So you have the last technology. At the same time, you have other regions of Kazakhstan that still depends on the old style of bank, with the branch, with the manager and everything else. So it's a new challenge for the bankers. So the bankers will have to invest in new technologies, at the same time keeping the old infrastructure, because some of the customers do demand that.
New solutions in this area are primarily designed to facilitate routine work and give equal opportunities to people from all regions. Domestic and foreign developers regularly offer new ideas that can be implemented on existing sites. One of these solutions is smart banking.
Это следующий этап эволюции от цифрового банка, который уже
This is the next stage of evolution from the digital bank, which is already more or less known to everyone. The concept of smart banking is Industry 4.0 paradigm, which already implies a transition from simple process automation to the introduction of technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on. One of the fields of banks where such a concept will work successfully is call centers. Hundreds and thousands of employees who answer customer questions today can be replaced by chatbots and artificial intelligence, which not only prints the answer but can also synthesize human speech to communicate with the consumer. Another newest technology is connected with the safety. Biometric identification is the ability to verify your identity not through a signature or access passwords, but with the help of unique data, fingerprints, voice, or iris. In Kazakhstan, a number of banks are introducing biometric identification for their internal purposes. But we're planning that, in general, Kazakhstan needs to introduce a single database of biometric parameters so that both the public and commercial sector can use a single database. Biometric identification in Kazakhstan is still at the level of testing. Pilot projects are noticed in financial and public sectors. People can optionally leave biometric data in public service centers and test the possibilities of such identification. The government faces a big challenge to bring the number of e-government services to 80% in 2019 and to 90% in 2020. Today, Kazakhstan citizens have access to 450 types of public services online. Now we are also developing such a project as an electronic registration of real estate pledge. You know that today this process is a bit long. That is, first you come to the bank, conclude an agreement with the bank, then come to PSC, hand over the documents for registration of the pledge, and after 3 days, get the answer and come to the bank again. This process is very inconvenient and it takes some steps. By the end of the year, we are now planning to pilot the process with the banks that are ready to implement an electronic registration by introducing blockchain. Thanks to this decision, it will be possible to conduct deregistration and registration of your property online in a few minutes. The introduction of the latest technologies always requires training. In Kazakhstan, this process is divided into two directions. The first is the training of qualified personnel who can successfully work in the era of big data and artificial intelligence, as well as specialists of various directions who can connect developers and ordinary managers and establish effective cooperation between them. If we are talking not only about data science, but about data-oriented works, then we need to train a management how to work with these new specialists in data science direction, CDO, for example. And we need to train people who are engaged in data engineering, that is, people who know how to work effectively with data. And the demand for specialists, for example, in the international market is 4 times higher than the demand for data science specialists. And this dip will reach both Russia and the CIS for sure. The second important area of training is to increase the digital literacy of the population. In order to receive all benefits of digitalization, people need to be able to use basic tools. Therefore, in parallel with the introduction of digital solutions in the work of the government, the state is also developing training platforms. In this regard, we open digital PSCs in every regional center on the basis of PSCs. This is not just to get an EDS. This is a full range of courses, not only on the use of electronic services, but also the use of public procurement portal, obtaining licenses and permits. All this can be done in electronic format. Today we have such an opportunity, and this is our task for digital PSCs to train citizens so that they go more into digital. The representatives of the older generation are not ignored in Kazakhstan. These people are traditionally not familiar with new technologies and are less actively using them. Students of one of the IT universities in the country realized that the problem is in the absence of basic computer literacy. Meanwhile, many startups are aimed at creating solutions for the pensioners. Therefore, the university launched the program 50+, in which the senior citizens are taught free of charge. We launched this project in 2011, and during 7 years it has been developing uninterruptedly. 2-3 years after the start, the program began to develop at the regional level. Now it is supported by the local administration, and other regions of the Republic adopt our experience. In the first cohort, there were 40 people, and within 7 years of the project's existence, more than 4,000 people have completed the course at our university. Digitalization is a global and fast-paced trend. Business representatives quickly respond to the slightest changes in the market. Therefore, in the digital era, they immediately began to restructure their processes with a glance to the latest technologies.
We say data is the new oil. So all the new companies, all the successful companies of today, they have business models that are based on data. So actually all the old models of making money will not serve any longer. So we need to think fresh and new how we can make money with that data. So this will result in new ways of using products, using services, and also creating new business models with them.
At the same time, world experts point out that digitalization brings a great economic effect. In 2017, Oxford Economics released a report which states that over the past 30 years, every investment in digital technologies in the amount of $1 led to GDP growth of $20. The long-term return on investment for digital solutions is 6.7 times greater than for non-digital investments, and digital economy has grown 2.5 times faster than average global GDP. Even as we speak, scientific, government, and business community need to focus on future trends, experts say. Now there are much talks about blockchain and artificial intelligence. Anyway, all projects are connected with computer technologies, while people pay less attention, for example, to biology. Meanwhile, the trend is that the following fundamental projects will be genetically based and based on DNA. There is a very serious question of ethics, what we need to do if we learn. There is such a CRISPR technology, where they observe what he does. For example, he takes DNA of some living being and can change something there. They can change one letter to another and conduct experiments on laboratory animals, and for example, some disease is changing. And instead of it, the immune system is developing. In general, incredible things are being done. The technology is standardized, some buttons are pressed, and the genetic code of a living being is changing. Where does this technology lead us? shift in the mindset is another point of the new era. Experts say that the further movement of digital evolution will occur outside the standard understanding of information technologies. In the future, we're awaited by the most unexpected collaborations which will create new standards of life and human mindset, and hence all surrounding processes.